I'm Will Wakely. I'm with the Seniors Computer Group in sunny San Diego, also past president of some other computer groups here. And I'm going to be reviewing the free Google photo program called Picasa, which I hope most all of you know about. I'm not a big photo geek, but I use Picasa for the little bit of photo organizing and editing that I need to do. It's not Photoshop, but it'll do most of what we amateurs need to improve the pictures we take. And so we'll do a short PowerPoint to show you the basics, and then we'll go to my desktop and bring up Picasa and look more closely at some of the details. So let's walk through the PowerPoint now, and I'll show you some basics of what happens. The major features of Picasa: first of all, you can import and export your photos either from your computer or from a device you might have, a camera or a video recorder. It allows you to organize your photos in a better way than just having them on your computer in various folders. It's much nicer to organize them. And you can edit your photos, which is probably one of the more powerful things that Picasa can do. To initialize Picasa, of course, you download it and install it. And then the first thing you'll do is import your photos from your computer. Now, a little aside here in that it wants to import everything from your computer. So you have a selection where you can tell it to only import from certain areas, certain folders. You don't want it to go out and bring everything that's on your computer, unless indeed you want that to happen. So once you select what drives and folders you want to have it look in, you can tell it to either don't scan that particular folder, or scan it once, or scan it always, so that if you make updates to that particular folder, it will go back and automatically scan that folder again. Import and export, of course, you can bring in your photos from your computer. You can bring them in from the web, from various social sites that you might have, obviously from email attachments. There's also, if you're a Google user and have a Google account, you can handle a lot of the photos up on the Google Photo site. I don't really use that, but I think I will. I've been reading about it, and it's pretty powerful. And of course, you can bring in things from your device, from cameras, from video recorders. So organizing, obviously you want to go to folders. There are really three sections for organizing. The folders show a tree layout of your computer folders, and it will be able to see those from Picasa. Then you can generate albums, which are collections of photos from various folders that you drag into it. So you can have the same photo in several different albums, but in only one place on your computer. And the photos still remain in the folders, even though you've dragged them into an album. Then there's a third category called people. And Google and Picasa use the face recognition technology to look at your various photos, spot the faces that are in there, and attach names to it that you give to these various people. It's a pretty useful feature that they have. And you have a full collection just of specific people. So if you click on someone's name, it will show you all the photos that you have in Picasa that have that specific person in the photo. Editing modes, and this is where probably most of the power in Picasa is, that you have three different basic editing modes. You double click on a photo in order to edit it, and then you'll get a window that gives you basic editing tools that you'll use. There is a second thing called tuning, which is a little bit more control over some of the basic features. And then a third thing called effects, in which you can apply various effects to your photos, and they have advanced that tremendously. I didn't mention this is Picasa 3, and I think the latest version is probably 3.9 something, so it's pretty new. Now, in the basic editing mode, you have, what do we got? 4, 8, 12, a whole lot of basic editing tools that you can use. Of course, the crop feature is probably the one that you'll most use, I would guess, to be able to crop your photos to something that looks better. You can control the brightness and contrast and color. Way down at the bottom, you see I have a thing called I'm Feeling Lucky. There is a button which, if you press that, it will essentially control the brightness, contrast, and color automatically, and it's amazing what it does in terms of taking a photo that really doesn't look very good at all. Click on that I'm Feeling Lucky button. You'll be amazed at what it does to that particular photo. And there's a straighten feature, which if your photo is of something and it looks like it's tilted a little bit, you can straighten it back up again. It's pretty nice. And of course, red eye you'll see in most every photo editing program that's out there. It'll take the red eye out and put it back to a normal eye color. Retouch is a powerful feature. We can go into that later. But if someone has a blemish on their face or something, you can retouch and take that out. And you can do some fairly major retouching of photographs. Probably not as good as Photoshop, but it's pretty good. And of course, there's a fill light to lighten your photos. Text allows you to put various text on your photos. It's a very nice feature. You can change your text in colors and various fonts, and we discussed the I'm Feeling Lucky. I'm going through this quickly because I want to have a lot of time later on to show you what's going on within the program itself, particularly in the editing mode. This tuning we talked about, this is where you can control some of the things that you weren't able to do in the earlier basic one, and it's a set of slider controls that you can change the fill light, which sort of lightens every pixel that you have in the photograph, and if it's a particularly dark photograph, it'll lighten it up. In fact, you can take some photos that are absolutely black, bring up fill light, and bring out what was actually there. And highlights and shadows are sort of self-explanatory. Color temp, you can adjust the color temperature of your photograph all the way from the deep blue, from blues all the way up to the heavy reds. And so there are times when you may want to do that. The effects edit, I think there's a lot of stuff in there that I wouldn't use, but there's 3 groups of effects, and each group has 12 different options within it. One that's useful is Sharpen, where you may have a photograph that's sort of fuzzy and you want to sharpen it up. You can use that. But then you can put various effects on your photos. You can change it to black and white. You can change it to sepia. You can give it some fancy things like neon. You can add borders to your photograph, which is very nice. And you have a lot of capability to change the border, the color, the size, the double border, all sorts of interesting things. And various features. One of them is soften so that it looks sort of like a cosmetic ad or something. So we'll look at some of those more closely as we go into the program. So as I say, I was hurrying through this PowerPoint mainly so we can get our hands onto Picasa itself. So they're going to switch over now so that I can share my screen, and we will go to let me bring up my screen here.
Don't forget to hit share the screen.
Okay. I've got to find the screen that I want here, first of all. Here it is. Okay, sorry for the delay, but I was having trouble getting to my screen. All right, here is the standard Picasa screen. Let me show you first on the complete left panel. You'll see at the top it says albums and the number 8 after it, indicating I have 8 albums that I've generated. And then below that are other things that you can have. The people tab, you turn these on and off with the button that's on the left. You see the little arrow? Under people, it lists all the people that I have, and if I click on that, it will bring up just the specific people that I may have pictures of. Like if I click that, it'll just bring up this lady called Becky Austin. You can have projects if you want them. The folders is your computer. These are all the folders that I have on my computer and all the pictures in the folders. And I'm turning this on and off with this button that's on the left of the window. Then there's some other ones, pictures that I've exported, other stuff. I have no idea what that is, but I generated it some time ago. And you can export photographs to various things, and it keeps track of those too. But what I work with mainly is the albums. So the one that I want to work with today is are these various pictures that I have in here to demonstrate some of the editing. But before we go into editing, let me show you what's on the screen, of course. Up here at the top, excuse me, up here at the top is a standard menu bar, file, edit, view, etc. These are fairly standard menu items. Then below that are some icons, which the one on the left is import, so it shows you how you can import from cameras or from your scanner or from your computer. And next to that is a button that allows you to create a new album if you want to. So you can create an album, give it a name and a date if you want, plus additional information about it. There are various places that you can create an album, but this is one where it's easy to do. Next to that is the way your folders are shown. It wants to set up your folders in a date sequence chronologically. I don't like that. I like my folders the way it is on my computer, which is by name, and you can adjust that with the third button over here, which is View Options. And under that, you see the various sorts that you can do by date, by recent change. I have it tagged for sort by name and sort people by name. So you can adjust this any way that you want. These, I particularly like this particular sort sequence. Next to that is a caption. What does that say? Caption photos from a website. I don't use that at all, so I really don't know much about that. As we go over on this icon bar, I'm getting over to filters, where it says filters. This first one is a star. If you have particularly photos that you like best, you can click on this and it essentially puts a star on the photo. In fact, if you look down at the second photo, second column down, or second row down, a picture of two people, it has a star down in the lower right hand corner, indicating that this is a sort of a favorite photo. So you can star the photos that you really like, and then later on just ask to show just the starred photos that you have. So these various filters work. You can star it for faces only, for movies that you might have, and only print out photos with geotag. Geotag is one thing they have also within Picasa. I don't use it, but this is a way that you can essentially tell and bring up a map that shows where you took the photograph. I don't find that useful for whatever I do, but perhaps people that are into this geo search or whatever it's called would be interested in that sort of thing. Then further over is a search bar, of course, standard search, so you can search for specific photos. And then further over to the right is a Google Plus icon in red, and that's where you have a Google account. You can click on this, and next to that is a grayed out something or other, which I have no idea what it does, but it's there, and I expect I could search and find out what it does, but for the moment I don't know. Maybe it's a tools. It looks like it might be a tools gear or something. I'm not sure. All right, anyway, further on the screen, of course, the main window here contains the photographs that are in a given album or folder on your computer. Then we go down to the bottom of the page that's showing, and it's showing what album is open with 9 photos in this case. And as we go over further to the right, oh, by the way, this area down here that has where it selects photos selected, if I click on a photo, it will go down into this tray. This is called the photo tray. Unfortunately, I have another thing showing down here. But it's a photo tray where you can put various photos into this tray. If you hold down the control key, it will add photos into it. And so you can select certain photos that you want to go there, and then move them into an album or do whatever else you want to do to it. You can clear out. I need to get rid of this this toolbar because it's interfering with the photograph. Let me minimize this a little bit and see if I can get rid of that. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. But there's a clear button where I can clear out the items that are in this tray. It's called the photo tray, and so that will clear it out. There's another third button down below that unfortunately I can't see right at this time, which allows you to move them into an album, either an existing album or create a new album. So, all right. I wish there was some way that this toolbar would go away. Let me see if I can just have it go away for the moment. No, unfortunately I can't. All right, other things down on this bottom area, I'll describe them to you. There's a star button here where you can star certain photographs. If I click on one, for instance this one, I can star it. You see it says add or remove a star. I can click on that and a star will go on the photograph. You see this star in the lower right hand corner? I can also rotate this particular photo left, right, whatever I want. There are times when you need that. You can share photographs. Down below, you notice that there's an envelope indicating that you can share these photos with email. You can print. You can export it. There's a very good collage tool here where you can take many photographs excuse me, and create very nice collages with it. As we go further over here, let me get rid of that. Okay, that worked. The green button here in the middle where it says share on Google, that will take you to your Google account, Google Photo account, and you can move those photographs up into your Google account. Now, I talked about earlier this button, blue button down here at the bottom. Here you can add items to an album. If I click on that, it will show me the various albums that I have, or I can create a new album. And in this case, I do want to create a new album. And I'm going to call this one the name of this boy, which is Jorge. And it will then, as you see up in the upper left-hand corner under albums, I have added this one called Jorge. So his picture now is in the in the albums. All right, let's go back down to the bottom again and walk through what are various sliders here. If I bring up a picture, for instance, I bring up his picture by double-clicking it, this slider down here at the bottom will enlarge or reduce the size of the photograph. Here's a button that says fill the photo inside the viewing area. I don't know that I've done that. Let's click it and see what happens. Well, it seemed to work. Display actual size. Oh, that's interesting. And the third one over is, it doesn't tell me. Let's see if I have a note on that. Sorry, I'm fairly new at doing the details of Picasa, so I may be like a teacher, one chapter ahead of you, but probably some of you are way ahead of me. So if we go further over on the bottom window here, this will show or hide a people panel. All right, on the right-hand side of the screen, you will see this thing that says people. You can close this by clicking the button there, or you can open it up by clicking show the people panel. These are the various panels that you have: a people panel, a places panel. This is the geo thing, which will load a map, which I'm not sure we want to go through that, but there's a map, and so I could list where this photograph was taken. The third one over is a tags panel. Now, tags is interesting in that you can tag various photographs with keywords. So depending upon what your keyword is, you can put in several keywords and then do a search on the keywords. So you can find photographs that you may not remember exactly where they are, but you do have a keyword tag to it, and you can look it up here and find that. So it's kind of useful. This fourth button over on the right is a properties panel. This will come up and show the properties of that particular photograph. It will give you the file size, it'll show you where it is, and it will give you the dimensions of the photograph and tell you about the camera and all the things that happened while you took the photograph. So it's fairly useful information that you may need. One thing I didn't talk about was this blue line that is underneath the photograph. And in that, it gives you a little bit of information. It tells you about when the photograph was taken and what the pixel size is and how big the photograph is. But the panel on the right, where you click on properties, which is the fourth button over on the right, gives you a lot more information about the photograph. Okay, enough on that. Let's start looking at some of the things that we can do in editing. Notice the button on the upper left-hand corner. It's called Back to the Library. If you click on that, it will take you back to this left-hand pane where you can select your various albums or people or folders or whatever else you have there. For instance, all right, let's go through some of the editing things that you can do. First, we'll click on a particular photograph. Let's take this one. Some people I know. It's It's me and my wife. So we will click over here on a wrench. In the upper left-hand corner, you will see a wrench. And that wrench is the basic editing tools that you have. So first of all, we'll crop this photograph. And there's a lot of extra things here. Under cropping, you have lots of various things that you can do. If you're going to print this out, it will give you standard print sizes that you can use. I tend to do a manual crop because I don't print out the pictures. I leave them on my computer, and if I do print them, I'll print them from my printer. So I don't use the commercial printers at all. So I'm going to crop this. I start in the upper left-hand corner, drag the crop down to where I think it's really good, and release the button, and then hit the enter key, and there is the cropped photograph. Much better, got rid of a lot of the extraneous things. Now, in this case, I would like to maybe do some filling. Let's look at down here at fill light. You see where I'm dragging a fill. You can go way too far with it, but you can just sort of fill it up so it's a little brighter. That's about all I need to do. But notice that there's also a thing called undo the fill light and redo the fill light. So these are various things that you can do. And though you have changed some things, you can always go back. It doesn't change your original photograph. It just changes it within Picasa, so that you can always go back and undo or redo whichever you want to have happen. So that's a nice feature, is that you're not actually changing the original photograph. You can do that if you want to by saving it to your folder, but rarely do you want to do that. All right, let's go back and look at another thing. Here's a photograph of a real severe case of red eye. Notice these eyes are really red from the camera flash. So if I click on the red eye tool here in the left panel, you will see two green squares that come up. It's smart enough to go look for where are the eyes, and it finds them. If it doesn't find them, you can manually put a green square on an eye. But if I click that, and now down below on the left panel, you see it says apply. Apply the effect and exit the red eye repair. So I click apply, and there it is. The red eyes are gone. So, but I can also go back and say undo it if I want to. I'm sorry, it says you cannot recover undo, so I don't want to undo. But that's probably one of the few things that you cannot undo. But that's a nice feature. Here's another photograph which is very, very dark. And I've already cropped this picture, so I'm going to say redo the crop. Notice down here I have a choice of redo because I've already done it once. And there's the crop that I did. And it's very dark, so I'm going to fill the light up a little bit. And that brings the photograph up better. I don't know what happens if there's a second tool here called a third one over, which is called Sharpen. Well, we'll look at that later. But that's one way that you can improve a photograph. There are many other things that you can do. For instance, here's one that we can probably lighten. That's already been cropped, and I already did a fill light, but let's do the fill light again, and I'll show you how it lightens it up. See, that photograph comes up much better. I like that better. Here's one that really is a terrible photograph. I mean, you wouldn't like that at all. But here's a thing called a button called I'm Feeling Lucky. Watch this when I click this button. It's in the second row down, first button, I'm Feeling Lucky. If I click that, notice how the photograph came up. I don't know if it needs some more fill light in it or not to bring it up a little bit more. Probably so. But that terrible photograph that we originally saw, this brings it up to where it's acceptable. It's not a wonderful photograph. Okay, we looked at that one. Here's another photograph, which would be nice, except it probably needs to be cropped. It's pretty bad. Let's try a crop on it, and again I'll just do a typical crop. That looks pretty good, and probably bring some fill light up into it to brighten it up a little bit. And there, instead a lousy picture, it really looks pretty good now. See how easy it is? Great. And this photograph is of a person I know. Again, I'm going to crop this picture and just get rid of a lot of the background. And I guess so there it is cropped. Now, an interesting thing about this is that if I click on the people picture, it says add a name. I think I already have this person's. Notice that a window came up around her face, and it says add a name, and I think I already have her in the database, but see if it comes up automatically. I guess I got to click on that. All right, her name is already in the database, Gay Goodhart. So I just click on that, and now her name is tied into that particular face. It will now go through all the photographs that I have looking for her face, and if it finds it, it will automatically put her name on it. It's a really, really neat feature of Picasa. Okay, here is one which is sort of a fuzzy picture. Notice that it really isn't very sharp at all. But under one of the tools here, it's the third one over under Effects, one of the things called is Sharpen, the upper left-hand window. If I click Sharpen, you have a slider which allows you to sharpen the photograph. If I drag it all the way over to the right, it doesn't do a fantastic job, but it sure is a heck of a lot better than it was initially. You notice that the difference between unsharpened and sharpened, you can see an interesting effect. And I just click on the apply button, and now that has been sharpened. It's a nice little feature. Okay, probably one of the more useful tools is this one called, let's go back here, called Retouch. It's on the third row down, the first one called Retouch. Now the reason I want to retouch is notice that the older ladies' glasses have a couple of bright spots on them. And I want to get rid of those bright spots because they don't look good. Now, here I can adjust the brush size, which is how you control the retouching. First of all, I'm probably going to use a fairly small brush. Also, I want to just zoom in on her glasses, so I will push this up as far as I can, and then in the lower right hand corner of the photograph you see a little square, and it will move me up to the area that I want to retouch. Notice these white spots are what I want to retouch. Well, the brush is way too big now, so I'll drop the brush down to about that size maybe, and if I click now on a white spot. Let's take this white spot on her nose, and I click that, and then I move to an area that I want to replace it with. So I'll just move down her nose a little bit and click it. The white spot is gone. It may get a little tricky down here in that the eyeglasses may go away, but anyway, the white spot went away. Notice? Over here, the same thing. I may want to reduce. By the way, you can use the plus or minus keys on your keyboard to change the brush size. And I just minimize it a little bit. I'll click that one and go here. Notice that's gone away. I won't do the rest of it. I'll just show you how it works. But it really is a fairly nice feature. Unfortunately, that goes away, but you have to play with this a little bit. But it's a nice feature if you want to get rid of some blemishes or whatever. It works very well. I can say apply the changes, yes, and it's done. And you notice that the photograph now only has one white spot left that I didn't fix. Okay, let's walk through some of the other editing modes. This second one is called tuning. And again, this is where you have better control over some of the other features. For instance, the fill light, you can ruin a picture or you can make it better. You can adjust the highlights of a photograph if you want to. The color temperature can go all the way from deep blue up to very, very red. Probably in the middle is what you want, but there are times when you want to do that. I haven't played with neutral color picker, so I'm not even going to talk about that. Down below you notice there's a histogram that shows you, if you're a real geek, what the various colors, and I don't know all about histograms, but you may. So that's the intermediate tuning button. Then there are 3 effects buttons. And these are the ones where you can do sharpen, sepia, black and white. For instance, I can turn this photograph into a black and white just like that, if for some reason you might want to do that. And if you want to undo that, come down to the undo button down here below the list and click undo, and it goes back to the normal one. But you can do some pretty fancy things. There's another set of a dozen things that you can do and make them really fancy if you're into that sort of thing. I expect the kids like to do this more than I do. And a third button, which, for instance, here's one called Pencil Sketch. You know, I guess if you wanted to do something like that, you can do it. And you can cancel or apply, whatever you want to do. But it's worth looking at some of these things, playing around with them, and you'll learn quite a bit about how to do some editing. Okay, one thing I haven't talked about is help. And unfortunately, with this connect, sorry, I dropped the microphone. With this connect, we cannot go to the websites and look at things for technical and legal reasons. But if you go on Google and do a Google search on Picasa tutorials, you will find a plethora of those online. Actually, the help button up here at the top in the menu, if you click on help context and index, that will take you online to a fairly extensive help file, and I've used that quite a bit. And as you can see, there are lots of Picasa forums out there. About Picasa, I think I'm running Picasa 3 version 3.9.137. It will usually notify you if you need an update on it. So we're about ready to close up. We've got another maximum of 10 minutes. Do we have any questions that people might have? And if somebody can read me those questions, I'll just work here from the keyboard.
Okay, I've got my keyboard unmuted, so if you have a question, please feel free to type it into the chat box, and I will relay it to Will.
And
if we don't have any
questions, I can go through and show more editing if we have time. I want to leave time, though, for questions if people have them.
Someone is typing.
Okay.
Donna wants to know how to put in a caption.
Okay, let's do that. Question is how to add a caption to it. We'll add a caption to this one. And if we go back to the basic wrench in editing, and one of the things here is called text. You see it's in the 3rd row down, 2nd one over. And if I click that, it says type anywhere to add text. So we will click here, and I will type and say her name is Valerie. with too many E's in it, I guess.
Type like I do.
Yeah. And now I can do lots of things with this. I can change the fonts. I can move this around to wherever I want it. Normally I would put it down here somewhere perhaps. And you can, with this, you can rotate it, you notice. You can expand it. I can change the font to one of many different things, I guess. And I haven't really played with this a lot, but you can change the transparency of it so that it shows up. You can change the color of it. And if I click apply at this point, there it is down in the lower left-hand corner. You can also copy this particular one and paste it onto lots of other photographs. As I say, I haven't really played with this a lot, but you have a lot of flexibility in how you can do it. I hope that answers your question. Any other questions?
Joan is typing a question at the moment.
Okay. Also, you may notice that at the bottom it says make a caption. And so you can add a caption down below the photograph. While we're waiting, I'll click on that and I guess I don't know what to do next. I've never done it. I think I've done it. I just have a short-term memory and I don't remember how I did it. This program is full of features that even I haven't looked at all of them. You'll find things in here that I haven't even thought about.
Okay, well, Joan asked, I have 20 pictures that I want to gather together and put in one folder/album. How do I do that?
Okay, the way you would do that is, we'll go back to the library. You would go to your folders, which again, folders is your computer, all right? Let's say I've got I've got a whole bunch of pictures here from Auckland, New Zealand, and let's say I want to put those into a folder. So I'll just click and hold down the Control key and click whatever folders you want to put. I'm sorry, whichever photos you want to put into a folder. Now, again, I have this problem that my toolbar comes up and I don't know quite how I got rid of it. But if I go up here to the top and say create a new album, and I give that album the name of Auckland, A-U-C-K-L-A-N-D, and I say OK, and then down here, oh great, if I didn't have my toolbar there, folks, there is a button down below that says move these to an album, and somehow I did get rid of that toolbar before, and I don't quite know how I did it. But down below here,
right click properties, hide toolbar.
Yeah.
On the properties.
On the properties. Okay, let's do that.
Right click properties, hide toolbar.
I don't. Oh, properties. There we go.
Hide toolbar.
Hide the toolbar. Lock the toolbar.
Lock. Hide it.
I don't see a thing that says hide. Is there a thing here that says hide?
Should.
Unfortunately, I don't see one.
You unlock the toolbar. You can't hide the toolbar.
I can auto hide, but unfortunately it doesn't.
That's auto hide is what you do. Auto hide.
Well, it was on auto hide, but it didn't want to go away for some reason. But it doesn't want to go away. Anyway, if you go down to the third button down here at the bottom where you see the My Bottom, there are two buttons showing, one that says hold the selected items, one that says clear them. There's a third button below that says move it to a album. And it will give you a list of the albums, and one of them up here will be Auckland. You see Auckland has a 0 in it when I go up to the albums. And that's how you would move all those into an album. I hope that explains it. Anything else before we sign off? We only have a few minutes left.